there is a form of self-abandonment that is almost invisible. And it doesn't look like chaos. It doesn't look like dysfunction. It looks like maturity, and it's hidden like maturity. It sounds like this. This is what I hear from women when they say, he's just stressed. It's not just worth arguing. I don't want to create tension. I can handle this. These are the words what women usually say. And the woman who is saying those words, she's not weak. She's so capable. She's emotionally absolutely intelligent. And I will say this because you're probably listening to this. But what she doesn't see is this pattern, that she has learned to equate love with self-management. She learned that connection requires adjustments in her. Yeah, somewhere in her history, in her inner child, love was not fully safe, and maybe love was unpredictable, and maybe love required pleasing. Maybe love required silence, and maybe love required strength far too early in her life. So she adapted, she became perceptive, she became accommodating, she became the woman who can handle the things. She's so strong. Yeah, that works until it doesn't work. And what happens is she breaks down. Because every time you override your truth to maintain the connection, your nervous system records it, takes like a notch on you, yeah? And every time you swallow what hurts you, every time you soften what really feel, every time you tell yourself it's fine when it's not, you move slightly away from yourself. And what I mean by yourself is your heart. So not dramatically, but like subtly you move, and that distance over the time becomes your identity. You're not connected to your heart, and you start believing I'm just such a low maintenance, and you actually become so proud of this. I don't need much, I'm easygoing. But are you really easygoing, or are you trained to be easygoing? Train to not to disrupt, train not to be too much, train not to risk being left. And the painful part of this story is you don't even feel resentful at first. You feel loving and understanding, evolved even, yeah? Until one day, what happens is you feel super small. And that happened just one day, just click. And you feel unseen. You feel like you are doing emotional gymnastics while calling it partnership, and gymnastics between your partner and his heart, your heart, everything. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Love that requires you to shrink is not love. It's a survival. And survival feels very familiar. It feels intense. It feels like you're working for something meaningful. But you're not. Intimacy is when you speak your truth without bracing for punishment. And probably remember this when I said this from a childhood. And intimacy is when you express discomfort without fearing abandonment. Intimacy is when you don't need to edit yourself to be chosen. And this is where most strong women struggle. And I see this every single day because they don't fear being alone. What they are fearing is being fully seen. Where she can say, I'm fully myself. Will I still be chosen? If I don't manage the dynamics, will it fall apart? If I stop adjusting, will he leave? So they stay calibrated to hyper awareness, emotionally responsible for everything. But that is not partnership. That is control disguised as love. So you are trying to control the outcome by controlling yourself. And that control feels so much more safer than surrendering to the possibility that someone might not meet you. But here is the reframe of the pattern. If someone can only stay with the edited version of you, they were never staying with you. And love that requires self-erasure of you is a delayed grief, because eventually you'll have to grieve the version of you that disappeared to keep these circumstances alive. Because real partnership does not require self-abandonment of you. It requires courage. The courage to be inconvenient, the courage to be honest, the courage to risk being misunderstood, because the woman who is fully herself is not harder to love. She is clearer to be loved. And clarity is intimacy. Clarity is intimacy. And if you feel smaller to stay, I want you to pause. Not to blame yourself, not to judge yourself, but to ask yourself this: where did I learn that love costs me my truth? Because the moment you stop surviving in love, you don't become harder. You become available for something that does not require to fracture yourself, your emotions and your soul. And that is where real intimacy absolutely begins.